Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's November 3rd, 2013, and this week we're going to discuss some jazz, blues, licks, and chords. And this question was sent in from Adrian. He's in St. Petersburg, Florida, and he wrote in with this email. I have two questions. First, I'd like to know some of your favorite jazz shapes for playing 3-note dominant 7th chords. And second, can you demonstrate how to make up licks for the 1-4 and 1-6-2-5 progressions? Also, I've seen lots of these progressions using major 6 as well as diminished 7th chords. So can you include them somehow in the lesson too? Thanks, Andrew, from Adrian in St. Petersburg, Florida, USA. Well, hey, thanks for writing in, Adrian. You know, jazz blues progressions are very interesting chord changes that not only use cool cadences and back cycling, but they are progressions with great substitutes and passing chords, which ends up making them fun to learn and to play. So in this lesson, I'll be running down some popular chord harmonies, plus I'll be throwing in a couple of basic jazz blues licks as well. So let's not waste any time and just head right over to the guitar's fingerboard and start to learn some chord movements and guitar licks found in this style. Well, let's begin with a common 1-4 style progression. However, we're going to be doing it in the jazz sounds. So it'll sound a little bit different. This is a jazz blues harmony after all. It's not just your typical basic 12-bar blues. So we'll be operating with these changes in the key of A blues, starting off on an A6 chord that's just going to have one note change to make it dominant 7th. You see these voicings are very small. They're just 3-note chord voicings. So we're making a shift there from an A6 to an A7. And then for the 4 chord of D, we're going to create a really interesting second inversion voicing that'll place our 5th chord tone of the D chord, which is the A note, into the bass. So that's going to be our D major chord with A in the bass. This is a very cool concept to apply no matter what key you're in, because the 4 chord of whatever key you happen to be functioning in will produce a second inversion, which will keep the root of the key center in the bass note. So a very good idea to mess around with there. And the other cool idea that generates a great sound is the use of diminished 7th, a half step above the root of the 4 chord. So in this example, I've placed this chord into 3rd inversion with the chord's diminished 7th being in the bass. So that's a C note. And in the grand scheme of things, this progression really does hang out like crazy on the root of the key center, which is the A. And then we're going to move up there to catch that diminished 7th chord. So anyway, here is the whole progression. Let me play the entire thing for you now. It goes like this. Now next, let's move on to creating a guitar lick that'll cover these chord changes. When I work out lines for any jazz-style harmonies, I like to keep 3 things in mind. First, the primary color tones. If I'm working on an A7th chord, I want to be really clear where my major 3rd and my flat 7 are located. Now secondly, there's the mode for the chord. Now in jazz, this is most often going to include a lot of dominance, so we're going to have a lot of mixolydian and scale for that dominant 7th sound. If the chord happens to be Dorian, well, we're going to get some, a minor 7, we're going to have some Dorian for the minor 7s. So for the dominant chords, we have mixolydian. For the minor chords, we have Dorian scale. And this, what this does is it gives us all of our extensions, like 9 or 11, 13, those are all what that full scale is going to do for us. And then we're just going to target into the 3rds and 7ths to resolve lines. And also the third thing, though, is to add in chromatic lines into the melody construction. The use of chromatic ideas, it not only pulls in the specific related notes, but it really helps to get the jazzy sound, Great effect to be able to pop in there, and plus it gives you that jazz sound. So anyway, check out this guitar lick which covers the chord changes that I played from the first example, which once again were the A major 6, the A dominant 7th, that inverted D major, and then our diminished 7th. So here is the guitar lick. Time. Okay, next I'd like to move on to the very popular sounds of the 1-6-2-5. We'll be playing all these chords as popular dominant seventh qualities found in most of your jazz tunes, and we're going to shift keys. We're just going to move it up into the sounds of the D blues scenario. And once again, I'll be using some pretty unique smaller chord voicings in the first measure. Actually, I'll have another one of those dominant seventh chords with no root. So I'll be using the D seventh with no root. And we'll be having the A in the bass. For the sixth chord, I'll be using a 7th fret root position B7 chord. For the 2 chord of E dominant 7th, I'll once again be applying one of those second inversion chords, which places the 5th in the bass, keeps everything really locked down onto that 6th string in this case for this particular key in this area of the neck. And then wrapping up the progression, we'll drop into the 5th position, playing a chord voicing like the one we'd seen used on the B7 6th chord, except this time we're just going to use it on the 5 chord here. And that'll be the entire progression for our 1-6-2-5. It'll all come together to be like this. And one more time. Now let's build another one of those jazzy blues melodies over this 1-6-2-5 set of changes. I'll be applying basically the same approach that I used for the 1-4 example. So once again, that approach is to target into the primary color tones, which are the 3rd and 7th chord tones on a D chord that happens to be the major 3rd is a F sharp and the flat 7 is a C note. Also, it's very cool to utilize the scale, of course, for gaining access to the extensions. Over this D chord, for example, the D dominant, we're going to be using Mixolydian. And of course, finally, it's always nice to insert some of the chromatic movement for connecting lines, as well as, giving us that jazzy effect. So let's head to the 1-6-2-5 melody that I came up with. It goes like this. And remember, that's over the chord changes of this. Here's the melody one more time. Well, in the video lesson, as you could tell, I placed a heavy emphasis upon the use of those smaller 3-note chords, and despite their abbreviated size, you can clearly relate that these chords still sound full and obviously work well for straight rhythm. Also, when it comes to the application of melody, be sure to apply yourself toward learning the details of how to chord tone target with the color tones as well as the scale tones, and always remember to apply the use of some chromatic scale. I know it's a lot easier to just play the blues scale, but with some extra effort you can definitely become more well-rounded while at the same time sound more sophisticated inside the jazz style. Anyway, that's about all the time I have for today. And as always, thanks for watching. Have yourself a great week, and I'll catch up with you next time. Bye for now.